I believe that if I had chosen to skip the rest of that cutscene, this would be what we skipped to. Once again, I have no idea what comes after this. My grandparents are getting hold of me, trying to get me to come over for supper. There. Perhaps these flowers will do well to lift Father's spirit when he awakens. Father... I wonder if he'll be alright. Sarah raises her face heavenward. Everyone, please be safe. Sarah prayerfully claps her two hands to her chest. There is definitely a typo there. Please, don't die. Huh. Nice timing. Lyle stirs and groans. Father, you've come too. Yeah, Sarah? Is that your face I am looking up at, my daughter? Sarah clasped both of his hands within hers. Yes, Father, it is I, Sarah. You're Sarah. I am glad to see you are... okay. My only fear as I fell at the hands of that monster was that he would slay my precious daughter next. Oh, Father. There now. No need to shed tears for me. We are both still alive and safely home, aren't we? And because that is so, I would assume you successfully protected Kalinka from the demon that attacked us. You must have fought him bravely. I am proud of you, daughter. Father, Lyle gazes over at her and raises one hand to her cheek. What is it, my daughter? Cough. Father, I was defeated by Grandis Marwyn as well. Sarah tears the clothing from her left shoulder, revealing the blood-stained cloth used to bind her wounds. Well, you don't have to be so dramatic about it. Sarah sorrowfully says, You see, he nearly slew me too. It is actually thanks to Lord Uri and the other 3 Earthlings that you and I are still alive, and that Kalinka still stands. We owe them so much, and I was not able to combat this darkness by myself. I'm sorry, but I promise I did try my best. Hold that head up, my dear. I am sure that you fought him as hard as you could. There's no reason for you to feel ashamed at all. Lord Uri also said that to me. And perhaps I did fight violently, but I just felt so helpless lying there in the snow, unconscious and bleeding. I should never have dropped my defense. Mr. Dusk was the one who drove that bad monster away. Poor Sarah. You really wished more than anything to prove that you had the strength to fight the darkness that threatens our world, didn't you? A smile crosses Sarah's face. But self-pity is a waste of time, Father. It is as you said. I tried my very best to protect the people I love, and that is all that matters. Well, good for you. That's my girl. Yet, I must say that I wish I could give those otherworldly heroes of ours my sincerest gratitude. We truly are fortunate to have friends such as those four, aren't we? Indeed. Kindness does truly remain in this world, after all. It is a pity they were unable to save Master Warren and Miss Millie, as well as us two, though, isn't it? Yes, but our two friends are out of pain now, at least. Sigh, that is true, dear father. Sarah says with a sudden slight smile. Listen to us. We really are a pensive and solemn pair, just as Lord Uri had said of us, aren't we? Lyle says in equal humor. Yes, perhaps we are, Sarah. How we have managed to survive in this world as a father and daughter duo without Emily at our sides for this long is anybody's guess. Hee, but we still love each other just for that, don't we, Father? How could a foolish old man like me not love a brave and thoughtful girl like you as his daughter? Sarah smiles at first, but then, noticing the tone in her father's voice, it slowly fades to a solemn expression. I know that you meant those words to be light-hearted, but why does your face look so sad at the same time, Father? Are you still feeling pain from your injuries? No, daughter. By now I no longer can feel anything. I just was thinking how saddening it was that my daughter has spoken such endearing words in earnest to me, about how she will always love and stand by me, at a time when it would seem that my remaining time in this world grows frighteningly short. Father, you mean to say that... Sarah, you know very well that I would do anything to remain at your side, always. The last thing I ever wish for you is to leave you all alone in this life. But as magical healers, you and I both know better than anyone else that the one thing even a father who loves his precious daughter more than life itself cannot stop is death. A tear brims Sarah's left eye, but she brushes it hastily away. Oh, Father, why must you say that? The Earthling humans themselves assured me that you most likely would survive the horrible wounds that the monster inflicted upon you, and I do not want to see Sister Death take you away. And for your sake, I hope that they were right in saying that, Sarah. But still, sometimes one can simply feel it when the one called Sister Death begins to draw near him. Sarah clutches Lyle's hands tightly to her. You cannot die, Father. I don't want you to. You were right. What will I ever do all alone without you? Sniff. It's all right, daughter. You needn't worry. I did not mean that my time was here and now. It's just that it may be soon, that's all. I'm sorry for upsetting you. I only want to make certain that you are able to prepare yourself for that time. Sarah obediently chokes back her tears. And I know that you are a strong enough girl to make it without me. Besides, you won't be alone at all. You will always have him to watch over you, will you not? Sarah blushes. Yes, Father, I will. You are always so shy like that. Where are your 4 human friends anyway, my daughter? They aren't here anymore. I think that Lord Uri and the rest have now gone back to the other world to stop the Dark Lord's servants from taking their loved ones from the earth away from them. So, those 4 really do intend to keep fighting for Elvinia, even after all this. We must pray as hard as we can for our hero's eventual triumph, Sarah, else all will be lost. Yes, I only hope that the time they have unselfishly used to look after us will not prove to spell out the doom of those whom they must protect on the earth. Yet, thankfully, at least all of Lelia is now safe from the darkness's grasp once again. The wandering monsters have all been banished forever. Praise Serena. Sarah clutches her father's hands even more tightly. I'm afraid of the darkness, Father. I truly am. I know that I really have become a hated enemy of the devil, and that he intends to destroy me, to tear apart my very soul as I have always feared. I wish in desperation some nights as I lie on my bed that my nightmares of him could just go away forever at last. Do not fear, my daughter. Even if I do pass away soon, you know that even from heaven, both your father and your mother will never allow evil to take their little girl away from them. Lyle suddenly winces and clutches his shoulder in pain. Ugh! Father, are you all right? Yes, daughter. The attack seems to have passed. As terrible as the spell that the demon cast upon me was, I should probably be grateful that any relapses I might have, heavy breath, will not be more painful than this one. Sarah places a hand on Lyle's forehead. You seem to have broken into a bit of a fever. Is there something I can do? At this point, there is probably no more magic you can use to help alleviate the symptoms, my dear, but if you would, please retrieve one of the clothes over on that shelf. Wring it out in cold water, and bring it over to me. In anything, Emily always said that a cold cloth draped over one's head could do just a little in lowering a fever. Shallow laugh. I will do that. Sarah, before even just one more moment passes, I must tell you this much. I love you, dear daughter, and I could not possibly have wished for a better child to have drifted into the lives of your mother and myself. Such a blessing you have been. I also know that Emily would have said the same thing were she here. I know you will be able to continue carrying each of the burdens that Emily and I had once tried to, in order to keep the pure light of love luminescent in Elvenia, no matter how heavily the burden might weigh upon you. There is no doubt in my mind of that. Sarah bows her head. I will not betray the hopes of parents whom could not sacrifice more to nurture a hapless child like myself in this steadily maddening world. Lyle closes his eyes and lapses into silence. Father? Giggle, do you remember that time when I was a little girl that you and Mother took me to school on my very first day, and that was when I first became friends with Iris? Sarah still reminisces as she bustles about. And being friends with Miss Iris proved to be trouble for me from the very beginning, too. All in the course of that one day did she not only fall madly in love with Master Warren's handsome and much older assistant instructor at the first moment she ever looked at him, but Iris also got too far ahead of Warren's lecturing us on magic by trying to cast a spell herself, right there at her desk in the middle of his teaching, and she ended up singing nearly every gray hair off of poor Warren's head with a small fire. Oh, singeing. Oh, okay, that's a little bit different than singing. No one had been looking at Iris at the time, so when Warren shook the smoke out of his eyes and demanded to know who had incinerated him, I hastily covered Iris's mouth with one hand and confessed in a tiny voice that I was responsible, for I did not wish to see my new friend Iris have to face punishment simply because of her, well, admittedly sometimes dangerous, curiosity. I remember how you and Mother were when I had returned home that day, because you were thinking this meant I was going to be a precocious and far too troublesome a child throughout my first few years in school. Yet I never even told either of you two the truth until now. And... Father? Father? Sarah feels a sudden pang of sadness in her heart. Sarah carefully folds Lionel's hands across his chest. I guess you were right, Father. You really would be joining Mother in heaven soon. But I will not despair from loneliness. I will do my best to go on without the both of you, and fulfill the hopes you said that you two had for me as your only child. I promise I won't let you down. This is a nice scene. Prospective student of white magic says, "To our dear friend Lyle Winters, please grant your eternal protection from all that is hidden among dark shadows. Goddess of fate, and may he find our beloved friends who have departed before us, Warren, Millie, and Lisa Winters, already safe and sound within the holy embrace of your pure wings." Helenia reverently says, "Alinea Celestios Arath." Everyone gazes towards the sky. Alinea Celestios Arath. Sigh. In the end, my fear of being the only one to survive fighting Grandest Marwyn has come true. Master Warren, Miss Millie, and Father. Now all three of them are gone. Think you'll be alright, little Sarah? Yes. Somehow, the last words that my father spoke to me before death took him have made it so that I do not feel such tremendous sorrow. Do you know what those words were, Sarah? Okay, the fact that this guy is continuously being referred to as prospective student of white magic is kind of taking away from the moment. He really needed a name. No? What? Sarah says with a sad smile, "Father said, simply, that he loved me and was proud that I was his daughter, and that I must remain in this life to fulfill a higher purpose for the sake of all that is light and love. He believed I could accomplish it, and though I think of myself as unworthy of being looked up to by others as an angel of mercy, I believe I have finally come to see just what that noble purpose is, and I will do my very best to live up to the expectations of those who say that they need me, even if it kills me." Sister. You are noble and wise to say that, my friend. It seems that your father's final blessing upon you has given both you and him the peace that you needed in his passing. You did very well during that sermon, big brother. I think you will be able to perform your duties as a clergyman just fine. Sarah gives Helenia a side smile. Yes, Gabrielle, I agree with her. Master Warren shall sleep peacefully, having left you as the minister of Kalinka's sanctuary in his place. So his name is Gabrielle? Oh, well, good to know then. Gabrielle looks solemnly at Warren's grave. Thanks, you two. I guess it is time for me to depart from here now. From the home that has been so precious to me since the very day of my birth. Wait, what? Sister Sarah? You're leaving Kalinka? Forever? Oh no, it isn't that. I'm sorry. I only meant that I was going away on a little journey. I will be back quite soon, I assure you. Where is it you are going, may we ask? To Ferris Dal, the kingdom of demi-humans and dwarves, the southern half of the Zibuline Reef continent? Are you intending to... Sarah looks down. Yes, it is most likely what you are thinking, dear Gabrielle. There was something else that Father told me just before he closed his eyes to this world. He said there were actually 2 banners that he and Mother were carrying on their shoulders, one for each of them. I am certain that Father's was simply the services of healing that he and I have always performed for others in Kalinka, and anyone else in Elvenia who might have needed us to heal them of an illness or disability that could not be cured by natural or conventional means alone. However, Mother's was something a bit more specific. You two knew of the slight ominosity that many of the doors of the demi-humans were beginning to develop toward the humans and elves of Lilia and Yuzuki a few years ago, when what we know as the darkness had begun to creep up on this world, right? Well, I now understand that it had been part of the Lord of Darkness's plan all along to worm his killing spirit into the Evlenians' hearts and thus create a hatred and distrust between them. After all, if he had come to a world with inhabitants who were entirely united against his evil purposes, then even he, in his great power, would have found it difficult to eradicate the Elvenians or bend them to his will. My nightmares as a child saw true to that, and in anything, a world filled with lies, destruction, and hatred is what someone like the Dark Lord would desire, anyway. My mother was trying with all of her very heart and soul to nurture the broken and confused spirits of our dwarven and demi-human brethren all that time, to reunite them with the rest of the world, but... before she could succeed, the Dark Lord himself arrived in Elvenia, and the Holy Priestess died fighting him for us, drowning her own poor, delicate soul in a well of fear and loathing in order to do so. Sister, so you wish to carry out her one last deed of loving self-sacrifice for the Holy Priestess, don't you? Sarah nods. While it was once to be loved by a certain someone, now more than anything else, the one desire of my heart is to restore love to any souls in this world that might now be somewhat bereft of it. We are victims, my dear Helenia. Victims of a terrible monster called the Devil, who from the very moment Serena first brought forth this lonely galaxy into creation, hated us as her children, and intended to drag us all, kicking and screaming, down to the abyss with him, where we would be dead in miserable fear of evil for all eternity. But all of us in Elvenia, and some still on Earth, cry out to be saved, to be redeemed in Serena's great love, and our souls cling desperately to that love, praying fervently that we will eventually be made to defeat the small trace of darkness that has always existed in each of our hearts. And the darkness in my own heart is now fear. I will tell you both now. In all honesty, I am terrified of what lies ahead, of the evil that may lie in wait to prey upon me on this journey, and of the task I must accomplish once the journey ends. But I will not falter. So help me, I will help protect Elvenia from the roaring lion that is the Dark Lord, just as Lord Uri, Sir Harrison, Master Lin, and Mr. Dusk are doing, no matter how much I fear him. Sarah says with a childly, hopeful smile. And so, that is why, for the sake of all living creatures, I shall devote the rest of my life to serving. I simply must go. Farewell, Helenia, Master Gabriel. May love's white shadow surround you both, always. Sarah, remember this no matter what. Your home will always be this beautiful little kingdom in the mist and snow that we fondly call Kalinka. We will be waiting right here to welcome you with open arms when you come back at long last. We love you. And that, dear friends, is the one truth my heart will never forget, even in the abyss itself. I know I can always rely on the gracious love of you all to keep this fragile spirit of mine strong. Sarah says with a sideways smile. Maybe, with a little luck, I will run into our four saviors from the other world as they are returning from the Earth and traveling further south as well. And I will be able then to walk this dreaded path in their gracious and protective company. Giggle. Sigh. What was it you had once said of Sarah, big brother? That she was just like a goddess? Gabrielle says with a laugh. I did say something like that once, didn't I? There are very few women in this world whose hearts lack nobility. That much is true, but I just cannot help but think that Sarah, with her childish spirit of self-sacrifice and ability to love everyone truly unselfishly, even when she herself may be feeling some sort of darkness in her own heart, stands out among even the noblest of female creatures, I guess. A goddess. Perhaps, if everyone in this universe from the very beginning of time could have just kept on smiling in the same way that Sarah does, even when they might have begun to fear in their hearts the monster called the devil that was lurking somewhere out there in creation, then maybe evil would never have come to exist at all. My four dear brothers from Serena's other world, it looks as though I will be able to see you all just one more time, and much sooner than I would have imagined, too. I did not have to say goodbye to you forever the last time we met, after all. Why is that? Save point! Where is a save point? Please have a save point in your house. That is not what I'm looking for. Oh, I really hope that I'm not skipping a cutscene by walking outside. Ah! Save! Okay, I have been streaming for over 3 hours now. This stream started before I went into the dungeon and that boardwalk blew up and we had to go down into the cave. Why was there no save point after that boss? Oh my goodness. There should have been a save point after we escaped from the cave, and there should have been a save point before the scene with Lyle and Sarah. I'm so glad I don't do 3-hour streams anymore. Okay. Bye.